my beautiful wife. And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? Letting the days go by. Let the water hold me down. Letting the days go by.
And as you're letting your day go by, you have reached the variety show right here on the Watchdog Network, usually hosted by Bill DeFabio. I am Butch Maxwell, guest hosting for Bill today. And I'm here with Lola Miller, as usual. How you doing, Lola?
I feel like a drowned rat.
It's wet out, isn't it? Yeah,
it
the
is.
water hold me back. Yeah, it's and tell you what, it's gonna be raining for the next 2 hours. I have it on good authority. So for the next 2 hours, it will be raining, and I will be here to keep you cozy and warm over the next couple of hours.
Stay in and listen to us.
That's right. Yeah,
That's right.
we got a lot of good stuff to listen to today. I want to talk first just a little bit about Mother's Day. Give you some background, some history on Mother's Day. Also, as I want to do, I like to give you an update on local entertainment, things to do around the area. We're going to talk about some other bigger issues too. We'll talk about entertainment in general, like especially Hollywood. What we can expect this year coming out of Hollywood movies and stuff like that. We'll talk about some other bigger kind of issues. The infrastructure bill that is up before Congress, and the likelihood of how that might get passed. Lola and I touched on this a little yesterday. There's also a new item of clothing that you can wear to prove that you've had a vaccination. So we'll talk about that too. West Virginia governor just announced that you are allowed to go out without a mask on, but not until June 20th. June 20th. Why June 20th? Well, that's West Virginia Day. So the governor has apparently decided that would be, I don't know, a politically good move. I'm not sure. It just seems a little arbitrary, but all right. June 20th, on West Virginia Day, West Virginians will be safe from the coronavirus, magically. Isn't that something? So we'll also talk about a new law that is apparently going to pass in West Virginia, allowing bars to serve cocktails to go. How about that? All right, that maybe just until June 20th. I'm not sure. So and yet another shortage. Yesterday we talked about the lumber shortage. Steel prices have now gone up, tripled in prices. So that maybe brings into question the wisdom of outsourcing all of our steel to China and Russia and other places like that. When we made so much steel right here in the Ohio Valley for so many years. Also, I do have a guest today. John Poffenberger has agreed to join us during the 1 o'clock hour. John is a former faculty member at the former Wheeling Jesuit University. He is now teaching for another fine college. I think it's Glenville State, and he is a professor of political science. So I thought it would be good to have him come on because, even though Lola and I try to keep up on things, we're not experts. So we'd like to talk to an expert once in a while.
That's right.
So so that is. That's the plan for today. 2 hours, a lot to cover. We're always willing, though, to have your input. If you want to call in, call 304-214-1600, and we'll get you on the air, and you can add your 2 cents or 3 cents, given inflation. Sure. So it is Mother's Day coming up this weekend, and I know a lot of people have sort of think, this is a conspiracy of the credit card companies or the flower, the big flower, I meant greeting cards, not credit cards. Yeah, the greeting cards,
or credit card companies.
Well, might be, yeah. But there's actually more to the history of Mother's Day than perhaps meets the eye. In addition to the history of the holiday, there's also a lot of controversy. There have been debates about who came up with the holiday first and lawsuits about who can use the name Mother's Day. One of the founders of Mother's Day actually tried to get the holiday scratched off the books, even after fighting to get it recognized as a national holiday. And also you might be wondering where that pesky apostrophe goes in Mother's Day. Well, I have it on pretty good authority from grammar Nazis that it is to be placed after the R and before the S. So you're to treat it as though it is a singular possessive. For those of you who enjoy such things. So I don't know. I always kind of assumed it should be more properly mothers with the apostrophe after the S because it's for all mothers. But
Oh, it's for your mother.
it's your specific mothers.
That's right.
Now, it always falls on the second Sunday of May, making this year one of the earliest possible dates that it can fall in. It could actually fall, I guess, on the 7th if May 1st was on a Sunday. And the origin is tied to West Virginia. You may already know this, but Anna Jarvis started a campaign in the early 1900s to honor her mother's, really honor all mothers, but it was because her mother, who had died in the early part of the century. I'm not sure exactly what year, but she started this campaign in 1905. And in 1908, she held a memorial for her mother in her hometown of Grafton, West Virginia. And over the next few years, she pushed to have the holiday officially recognized, and it was celebrated increasingly in more and more states around the United States. Finally, in 1914, President Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation making Mother's Day an official holiday to take place on the second Sunday of May. Now, Anna Jarvis put Mother's Day on the calendar as a day dedicated to expressing love and gratitude to all mothers, acknowledging the sacrifices women make for their children. That's why she was determined to keep mothers as a singular possessive, as marked by the apostrophe before the S. Each family should celebrate its own mother so that individual women across the country could feel the love, even in the midst of a broad celebration of motherhood. So that is sort of the brief backstory on this. But there's as always, there's a little bit more to this. Now this woman, Anna Reeves Jarvis, was working with mothers, with other activists, including an abolitionist and a suffragette, because this was, after all, the early 20th century. And they were working to actually have June 2nd be celebrated as Mother's Peace Day, and they wrote a Mother's Day proclamation. So this idea evolved over time. But even after Jarvis was successful in getting Mother's Day made an official national holiday, she wasn't satisfied with the way the holiday was celebrated. She teamed up with florists while she was lobbying to get the holiday recognized, even recommending a white carnation as the symbolic flower of Mother's Day. However, in the first few years of the holiday's official existence, Jarvis observed as florists, candy makers, and card makers, and even charities used Mother's Day as a way to make an extra buck. So she, the woman who created this, was the first to decry the commercialization of Mother's Day. And she said it defeated the whole point of a holiday that was supposed to be about celebrating the personal, individual connection between a mother and her children. So from about 1920 onward, Jarvis fought hard to prevent businesses from profiting by means of Mother's Day's cards and candy and flowers and other gifts. Although she had fought to be recognized as the one and only mother of Mother's Days, she later lobbied to have the holiday removed from the calendar of national holidays and sent piles of her own money in lawsuits. She spent piles of money in her own lawsuits against profiteers that she saw as using Mother's Day in vain. So that's it. For most modern moms going out to brunch or getting a Hallmark card and a fat bunch of flowers is usually the way we celebrate. And sure, Anna Jarvis is going to roll her eyes, but what if your mom's happy, then what's the harm, right? If you want to go the Anna Jarvis route, then maybe you can make your own card or write a letter to show your love to your own mommy dearest. You could use a phrase involving the word like mother, mom, or a nice mom-centric quotation. But most importantly, show your mom that she taught you well by putting the apostrophe in the right place when you write Happy Mother's Day. So that's my little background on Mother's Day coming up this weekend. So I don't want to give you that. I want to give you another little sort of this is a short piece, but I mentioned this yesterday. But I do want to bring it up because several of my very good friends are playing music this weekend, and I want you to be able to have the opportunity at least to go see them. Starting with tonight, the Muddle is going to be performing at the Prima Marina in Moundsville. They'll start at 7 o'clock there. So get on down to the Prima Marina, enjoy the sounds of the Muddle. They're really nice, acoustic-based, usually a trio. I think they're usually a trio. Sometimes they have a fourth member. But it's, and it's good, good music from all eras. They play music that, gets up into the 2000s, but a lot of it you'll find is from the 90s and the 80s and the 70s. But good stuff. They're also playing the Trophy Club tomorrow night, Saturday, at 9 p.m. My other very good friends that I know of that are playing is MSM or Miller, Smith, and Major, and they'll be playing Saturday night, tomorrow night, at the 19th hole. And they will begin playing at 9 p.m., so they'll be playing for a while. They're always a good time, too. They play just a variety of good stuff. Really, three excellent musicians and good singers, too. So that should be a good time. If theater is more your thing, then you're somebody playing for my heart, because we got theater coming back in right here in Wheeling, and it's live and unmasked. Yes, we don't have now. Towngate Theater, which is a part of Ogilvy Institute, has been presenting shows all through the pandemic, albeit with much smaller houses and asking people to be masked and not serving anything at intermission because of COVID restrictions. But they have been doing theater all along. Now, but the performers have all been in masks. Because right now the restrictions are, you can't have even two actors on a stage within 6 feet of one another if they're not masked. So they've done an amazing job of presenting theater, even with masks. Sometimes the masks actually kind of enhance the performances, believe it or not. But because of the mask restriction, the entire season has been changed. So everything that was planned and announced for this season at Towngate, they were not able to do because it just didn't, the shows did not lend themselves to being performed with masks. So the final show of this season is coming up tonight, starting tonight. It premieres tonight, and it runs this weekend and next weekend. It's called Murderers, and it's by Jeffrey Hatcher, and it is unmasked. Our actors will not be in masks, and the reason being is that it's 3 monologues. So each monologue is right around 40 minutes. The entire show is about 2 hours. It's presented without an intermission. So as I mentioned yesterday, you should probably go to the bathroom before you sit down. But it goes quickly, and it is a joy. We did have a small audience in the house last night of theater students, and they just had a great time. And you don't have to be a theater student to enjoy this. It's just amazing storytelling by 3 actors who just stand up on pretty much a bare stage with no set, no props, and unravel a story for you that it really tells you about 3 different individuals who are very unlikely to have committed murder, and yet they did. So it's all about why and how they committed these murders. So it's a lot of fun. It's a dark comedy, and again, it starts tonight at Towngate Theater. If you're interested, we do recommend that you make reservations. So if you're interested in seeing it either tonight or tomorrow or Sunday, I would recommend that you call Ogilvy Institute this afternoon before 5 o'clock and place your reservations. You can actually put it on a card and you'll be guaranteed a seat. The number there is 304-242-7700. Once again, 304-242-7700, and that will put you in touch with Ogilvy Institute. And by all means, plan to see Murderers. It's a terrific show. It starts at 8 o'clock tonight, 8 o'clock tomorrow, and then on Sunday, Mother's Day, you can bring mom to a show to a comedy about murder, and it starts at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon. So again, that number that I gave you, 304-242-7700, they only answer that phone weekdays until 5 p.m. So that's the best way to get tickets. Now, you can show up and get tickets at the box office, but I would really recommend you get your reservations in, and that way you'll be sure to go see it. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and maybe afterwards you can stop out and see the Muddle or MSM. So you can get it all in. It's fun. I guess while we're on the topic of lighter stuff and entertainment, because I don't want to get into anything that's too heavy before we take a break at the midpoint of the hour. I do want to tell you about Hollywood on its way back. Apparently, we mentioned yesterday that Broadway will be back starting this fall with full houses, full seasons. Should be pretty exciting. So we're all looking at that. But for those of us who live out here in the hinterlands, in the flyover part of the country, what are we looking forward to as far as film and movies and things like that are coming out? Well, there's a lot of good things. I know one that I've been waiting for is the new James Bond movie. I always go see the James Bond movies. They're goofy. They're really don't have a whole lot of substance to them. I know I go see them, and then somebody might ask me, well, so how was that Bond movie? Oh, it was really good. Well, what was it about? I don't know. I just, a whole lot of action and, people almost dying and stuff like that, but not really. And, so it's what I call cotton candy for the mind. It kind of, it feels good while you're watching it, but afterwards you're like, I don't know really what happened there. But, so anyway, so there are a number of films that are coming out that you may be interested in seeing. It's a crucial test, though, for Hollywood, because after being delayed because of the pandemic, a lot of major films are set to open this summer, and the box office of these films is going to be vital. But the financial performances are going to be critical to building enough buzz to lure people back into theaters. So, what films have been held up? Well, Disney's Cruella looks pretty interesting, actually, to me. The Cruella de Vil was the bad guy in 101 Dalmatians. There's also A Quiet Place Part 2, In the Heights, F9, and Black Widow. They're all set to open up this summer. Now, some of them will have streaming options, so you can see them on a particular streaming service at the same time. All Warner Brothers films, you can do that. I think Disney's doing that too. Cruella is one of them. Black Widow is another that will have a streaming option. And In the Heights will also have a streaming option too. So, we'll see. I've been kind of dying to get some good films. Some of the biggest blockbusters that have been out in recent years, or in the past year, I should say, is Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat. Both found audiences this spring. And even though both films were available on HBO Max at the same time, they were bringing people into the theaters. So that may be something to look forward to. So coming up this year, the new James Bond flick, No Time to Die, Marvel's Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, Ghostbusters Afterlife is due to come out, Marvel's Eternals, Top Gun Maverick is due to come out, the new Dune, Spider-Man, I know Dune, yeah. We can hope it'll be worthwhile this time. It certainly wasn't before.
I enjoyed the books, but the movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's another Spider-Man coming out called Spider-Man No Way Home, and the one that I was a little dubious about, but I saw some ads for it on the Academy Awards. And, Steven Spielberg's remake of West Side Story. Now that's not probably until about December, but it looks really good. I thought why from the beginning, because the original was really good, and I think the original probably really holds up. But
it was just on last night.
It's still set in the late 50s, early 60s, and You know, so it hasn't, nothing really dramatically has changed or anything, so.
I'll bet you it is going to boil down to line for line and shot for shot.
You think? You think it'll just be redone?
How are you going to,
I
you
know.
can't, with the music
Mm-hmm.
and the choreography, it just says so much. And the book itself,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're just periodic lines that
Yeah.
lead you into another song.
Right,
So
it's a musical.
how are you going to change it dramatically?
Yeah, there are, they do have a new choreographer, I know that, and but,
I forget who choreographed the original.
I don't know if it was, I don't think it was Fosse, I think it
No,
was somebody
it
else.
wasn't Fosse. That was not a Fosse.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll research that on the break.
Not really, but
No, it's not that important.
just to give you the illusion that we're actually doing
Yeah, we're
something.
doing our due diligence
we'll
here.
do some research here. But now it's going to drive me nuts.
Yeah, we
because
gotta
it was
find out.
just on, literally, it was just on yesterday.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Turner.
Did you watch it again, a little bit?
Oh, my God, I know dialogue.
Yeah, right, it's,
I
I've seen it.
forget what I was watching.
Yeah.
Probably hockey, but.
It's still a good movie. I would
Oh,
I
yeah.
would still watch
It
that again.
holds up well.
Yeah. I know Leonard Bernstein wrote the music, and Stephen Sondheim wrote the lyrics. You know, which is kind of an amazing thing
Now
too.
you are driving me nuts.
Yeah. Now we got to find out. All right. Well, we'll be right back with that information after we take a break. You're listening to Butch Maxwell guest hosting on Bill DeFabio's The Variety Show right here on the Watchdog Network.
The Metro News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
West Virginia Metro News, I'm Chris Lawrence. Testimony underway today in the opioid trial in Charleston, and among those testifying today will be Cabell County Sheriff Chuck Zirkle, who arrived at the federal courthouse this morning.
For years with this devastation, hopefully there'll be a day of reckoning. And this is that's why we're here.
He'll be testifying about the difficulty his department has had in dealing with overdoses and rampant drug cases in the past decade, and also on the witness stand, Huntington Fire Chief Jan Rader, who has become a key figure in the opioid story, as her department continues dealing with those addictions and overdoses as well. Leadership says it all is traced back to 3 distributors of pain pills who are the target of the ongoing trial. They blame those 3 companies with deliberately pouring millions of pills into the region unchecked and led to the problems. Gail Manchin, now at the helm of the Federal Appalachian Regional Commission, sworn into the position in Charleston on Thursday, says she looks forward to doing a lot of listening.
One of the things I certainly want to do is to go to these states and talk to the governors, talk to their staff, and listen to what's going on. That's very important.
The ARC is made up of 13 states within the Appalachian region. Parents and school officials in Tucker County say some of their basketball players were the victims of theft while they were playing in the state tournament in Charleston. The alleged theft of money happening this week during the boys' tournament, and last week during the girls' tournament. They say the money was taken from the locker room while the teams were on the court playing. Charleston police are reviewing surveillance video of who was in and out of those locker rooms. You're listening to Metro News, the voice of West Virginia. A Kanawha County man is fighting for his life in a Charleston hospital after a heroic effort to save somebody turned into a nightmare in Braxton County. 24-year-old Tyler Carroll LaBelle was headed south on I-79 from work earlier this week, saw an overturned vehicle in the median near Sutton. Now, according to his family, he pulled over to assist the trapped motorist, but he was hit by another vehicle. The family added that vehicle that struck him was traveling in the left lane at a high rate of speed. The Braxton County Sheriff's Department is investigating. From the Metro News Anchor Desk, I'm Chris Lawrence.
Are you struggling to make payments due to an unexpected financial obligation or loss of income? Are you receiving calls from debt collectors? Are you feeling overwhelmed and unsure of what steps to take next? Then you need the experience and expertise of attorney Tom McIntyre and his staff to help guide you through these temporary hardships. Want to hear more about how Tom can help? Then call 877-456-4155 and receive a free copy of Tom's ebook, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. Tom's ebook covers many questions people have about bankruptcy and includes interesting stories about people who tried to avoid filing and people who have filed for bankruptcy. We think you'll be surprised to learn some interesting facts about bankruptcy. Call 877-456-4155.
Over the years, you've brought opioids into your home. They helped when you were in pain, and you held on to them just in case. But holding on to opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
For all of your IT needs, visit OmniPerforms.com. Omni Strategic Technologies, the only IT company that the watchdog trusts.
With all of the stress and distractions of the last year, you may have neglected going to the dentist. Well, now is the time to make an appointment, because delaying dental care can be detrimental for your oral health and your overall health. Dentists have always practiced stringent infection control standards, and over the last year, they've taken additional new precautions to ensure dental patients are protected. When you make your appointment, ask if your dentist is a member of the Ohio Dental Association, so you know that you are being treated by the very best. Ohio Dental Association member dentists are located throughout the state and are dedicated to providing the highest quality dental care. These ODA member dentists are bound by the highest ethical standards and have access to superior ongoing education, training, and resources. To find an ODA dentist in your area, visit associationsadvanceohio.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands is the perfect place to relax after a long day. Happy hour from 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. Get $2 off appetizers, $3 off domestic drafts, and house wine specials. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA. Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands with another steal of a deal. Get a steak burger and fries all day Monday for only $8.99. It's also Military Mondays. The Lube will take 25% off for all veterans, active duty military, and first responders. Quaker Steak and Lube, voted Best Wings USA.
Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 want to thank the owners and contractors of the Ohio Valley for using their locally trained workers to help build for the future. Local 83 helps design, fabricate, and build the gas infrastructure for the oil and gas industry here in the Ohio Valley. Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 is 300 members strong and growing. They also do residential, commercial, and industrial work on both sides of the river. For more information, call Plumbers and Steam Fitters Local 83 at 304-233-4445.
Hi, it's Howard Monroe. Have yourself a great weekend this weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend. Do something special for Mom, of course. Coming up Monday on the Watchdog Morning Show, we're going to talk about the impact of the infrastructure bill on West Virginia with Ryan Frankenberry from West Virginia's Working Families. And we'll be talking with Matt Robeson, one of our political correspondents, about finding America's way back after the Trump era. Your calls, my opinions, and much more. We'll meet in the morning on Monday at 7 o'clock. Have a great weekend.
And Cyndi Lauper bringing us back in for a second half hour here on the Variety Show. Butch Maxwell sitting in for Bill DeFabio along with Lola Miller as usual and Jerome Robbins. Jerome Robbins was the name that Lola and I were struggling for. And yes, I cheated. I asked Siri, who was the choreographer of the original West Side Story? And it was Jerome Robbins. So yeah, there you go.
So did he do the movie too?
The movie too, yeah. They used his choreography for the film as well. Okay. He was a very prominent choreographer around that time. Did a lot of work, mostly in the 50s and in the early 60s. But he was also, I think, one of the authors of the play Inherit the Wind too. So he was not just a choreographer, but kind of a general all-around theater guy. So kind of amazing. All right. I wanted to tell you about a couple of things coming up here that you may be interested in. First of all, you ever wonder about who's been vaccinated around you? Well, there's a new wearable device that could aim to show you this. It's a bracelet, and it's being marketed by something called Immuniband, and it runs about $20, and it stores vaccine records on people so they don't have to haul around those vaccine cards, which really don't fit well into your wallet, do they? They fit nicely in the back part, the back of my jeans. But so I wore them there for about a month until I got the second shot, and now I've filed it away. But this is something that's verified, where you have to show proof that you've had the vaccine in order to get it. But this could prevent you from having difficulties in proving it. Say if you lost your card, or someone stole the card, or something like that. They've also taken measures to protect this so that people can't get. If you lose one, you have to have a PIN in order to get it back. There's a PIN number. So that we think should keep people from being able to fake it too much. So with like anything else, there's probably going to be a lot of controversy about this. I know there's been a lot of backlash when people have talked about vaccine passports to go on airlines and things like that. But I don't know. I mean, myself, I'm going to fall on the side of wanting to know. And being able to prove it. I think that I've said this many times on the air here, I'll say it again, it is your civic duty to get a vaccination. Unless you have some, health deficiency that prevents you, and you may have, there are some conditions where getting a vaccination could be worse for your health. And it's not just to protect you, it's to protect people around you so that you can't carry and spread this virus. So please, get your vaccination. I'll leave that middle word out that the governor said. But even the governor of West Virginia wants you to get your vaccination. So please do. Cocktails to go. West Virginia's new alcohol laws provide more options for a struggling industry. Cocktails to go did become a unique concept during the COVID lockdowns, but eateries opening and more people coming back to dine at their favorite tables doesn't mean that these takeout options are going to go away. It's no secret that some of our favorite bars and restaurants to grab a bite to eat and a drink have been struggling over the past few years. And West Virginia recognized that, which is why early in the pandemic, Governor Jim Justice allowed to-go beer and wine sales for customers who purchased food. But now West Virginia is about to have more options for enjoying a cocktail with your favorite meal at home if you still don't want to sit in a restaurant. There's a bill, House Bill 2025, that is going to allow this. Now, it's not passed yet, but it is expected to. There are a lot of restrictions. It's got to be curbside, in-vehicle pickup. They are trying to wrestle with third-party delivery of sealed beer and beer growlers, sealed wine and wine growlers, and sealed craft cocktail growlers when there's an appropriate license. Because, this is difficulty. You can't carry open alcoholic beverages in vehicles. So we'll see how this goes. But it's been getting some positive response across the state. So I think that.
Well, I think another one that I heard Sean Fluharty talking about is, on Sundays, you have to wait till 1 o'clock before you can buy your beer.
Yeah.
And especially football fans.
Yeah.
You're going to miss the
The
first
kickoff
quarter.
is at 12:30 or something.
So, they're trying to make it just, you can buy beer 7 days a week.
Yeah.
It's just.
That's just an old antiquated law, too.
Yes, it is.
There were
the old blue laws.
The blue laws, yeah. I was just going to bring that up. Where and if you're too young to remember, not as old as Lola and me, there was a time in West Virginia where you couldn't buy. Firstly, you couldn't buy liquor by the drink, is the way they called it back then. So you could not go into a bar and buy a cocktail. You just couldn't. You could buy beer. You could buy one, but that's it, and you had to drink it on the premise. And there was a time when bars were closed on Sundays. You just couldn't. You just couldn't. You had to plan ahead if you wanted to be drunk on Sunday.
Well, it affected even more than bars or alcohol sales. For a while, nothing would be open on Sunday.
Yeah,
That's true. You simply couldn't go shopping.
Right.
Yeah, it's things like department stores, or I'm sure there were small places that were allowed to be open.
Yeah.
But
it was illegal.
For the most part, you could.
The Sabbath.
That's right.
And I know my dad, who was an executive at Stone & Thomas for many years and knew a lot of the history of that store, said that even as late as the 1930s, Stone & Thomas would put drapes over their display windows on Saturday nights so that you couldn't even window shop on Sundays. That just seems kind of crazy to me, because now, we get up in the middle of the night and go on Amazon and shop. We shop all the time. So I don't know. We think things are crazy in West Virginia, but they're crazier other places. Florida, for instance. Thank heaven for Florida. They just signed. The Governor DeSantis there just signed a very controversial new voting bill, and I mentioned this yesterday. The only reason I'm bringing it up again today is the fact that the way he decided to do this, he signed it on television, but he only invited one network to come and watch him sign this bill. And he did it at a Donald Trump fan club location. And guess what? Just take a wild guess, Lola, at which network? No, and not MSNBC either.
Cartoon Network.
Yeah, that would have been more appropriate, but yes, it was our friends at Fox. They had the exclusive. I don't really think, NBC, CBS, or ABC are really complaining too much about that, but it's crazy. The next up is Texas, most likely, and this is something that I do want to talk about with John Poffenberger. As I mentioned earlier, in case you're joining us late, Professor Poffenberger will be joining us in the 1 o'clock hour to talk about national politics and things like that. We've got a number of things that I want to talk with him about, including, I'll just give you a little preview of that. Just talking about where the GOP seems to be headed now that the Biden administration has been through its first 100 days. Also, the new voter laws in Georgia, Florida, and Texas, among others. And also we'll get into the implications of Senator Manchin's influence in the current Senate too, because that's kind of an amazing thing. Meanwhile, steel prices have tripled, and the Bank of America is sounding alarm. It may be a short-lived crisis, but it is pretty much a crisis right now. What with infrastructure being a big topic of conversation and home building and things like that, the prices of steel stocks are on fire. They crashed to a record low last March amid a lot of bankruptcy fears, and now U.S. Steel has skyrocketed 200% in just the last 12 months. So scarcity and panic are lifting steel prices and the stocks today. And it may be something that again is short-lived, but it's right now it's making building bridges and major initiatives, infrastructure initiatives, very, very expensive. There are a lot of other shortages too. Computer chips. Big shortage on that. And of course, lumber, we talked about that yesterday. Actually, there are shortages on chlorine, on tanker truck drivers, and a number of other things that are important to manufacturers, restaurants, and other businesses who are looking actually for workers. I've heard this an awful lot, that people cannot find people to work. It's a little crazy. Now, normally what I hear coupled with that is, well, it's because the government is paying people to not work. Well, yeah, maybe. The government is paying people who have filed for unemployment insurance, and so that probably is going to make them a bit more choosy about what job they take. But can you offer them, say, a livable wage? Because right now, unemployment is not really by itself a livable wage. Sure, maybe you can offer a job, but can you offer a job that pays somebody enough that, say, if they work 40 hours a week for you, that they can actually, afford their own groceries and a place to live and things like that. So that is my take on the other side of this, is perhaps people are not taking jobs because, you're just not really willing to pay them enough. And if we'd had that $15 minimum wage initiative, maybe that would have helped a little bit. Even making $15 an hour, it's really tough, depending on what area of the country you live in. You could not live on that in Southern California or the Chicago area or New York or Miami, or any major metropolitan area. You may be able to struggle by on that in Wheeling, West Virginia, but even at that is very difficult. While the U.S. economy is apparently roaring back to life after a long hibernation, a lot of companies are scrambling to find workers, and they're coming up short. Uber and Lyft are now offering some incentives to get drivers back on the road. So if you've got a good car, in good shape, you might try to, and you're looking for a car or looking for a job, then maybe that's a place to look. Chipotle has said that it's playing catch up on staffing. A lot of America's factories are staring at 500,000 job openings. So it's created what a lot of economists are calling a jobs paradox. The U.S. employment report for April that was due today was expected to show an unemployment rate at about where it's been. And actually, it was disappointing. It turned out to be even higher unemployment, fewer people employed than had been hoped. Because, COVID-19 destroyed about 20 million jobs last year in 1 month. So you'd think this might be easy, but it's actually been very difficult. Part of the problem stems from an ongoing concerns about safety or child care during the pandemic. And maybe the coronavirus has also encouraged others. I know I've talked to a few people who opted for early retirement too. And yes, some business leaders do point to stimulus checks and unemployment benefits, which they say are discouraging some people from seeking employment. Employers expect labor shortages will ease as COVID-19 cases continue to drop. So we're not in panic mode here yet, but it is a challenge that's current. The big picture, though, the worker shortage could weigh on the economy recovery by preventing businesses from operating at full capacity as customers begin to return at full capacity. The Bank of America has estimated that 4.6 million workers that would have been in the labor force before the pandemic are still staying on the sidelines. And some issues won't be fully solved for quite a while life returns to normal. Factories, for example, have for years struggled with the dearth of skilled workers for specialized roles such as welders and machinists, a problem that would require significant investment and training to solve. You can't just say, poof, I'm a welder, I'm a machinist. You have to go to a community college probably and learn this stuff. Over the next several years, the recent surge in retirements and long-run demographic trends will make it difficult for the labor force participation rate to return to pre-pandemic levels, according to one U.S. economist for the Bank of America. So we've got some big challenges ahead of us here. This scarcity and panic has had big implications. Even on the prices of oil. As I said, steel is just the latest in shortages. There have been other big waves in the economy too. $3 store chains will make up almost half of all the new stores opening in the United States this year. Dollar store chains.
Oh, I thought you said $3.
No, three different dollar store chains, and not a $3 chain. Yeah, guys, I can see how you do that. Yeah,
stores and
I got it.
now it's $3 stores.
Yeah, right. It used to be 5 and 10. Now it's dollar stores. We've got Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and Family Dollar, all of which have outlets right here in the Wheeling area. But those are the three that are the fastest growing in the United States. Dollar stores were experiencing rapid growth even before COVID-19 hit, growing their clout as other chain stores stopped or closed shop. Economists and retail analysts have pointed to a growing wealth inequality and the hollowing of the middle class as a key factor. While the wealthy have done well and continue to do well since the Great Recession, there's certainly a lot of the population that has not done well, according to Ken Fenio, who's the president and head of advisory and research at Coresight. The dollar stores appeal strongly to that segment of the population, he said. Economic pain triggered by the pandemic has only increased the dollar store's dominance. The format is also better insulated from the rise of online shopping, which is encouraging customers to hunt for deals on essentials in person rather than scrambling around online.
I love dollar stores.
Yeah.
That's get your paper products.
Yeah, the paper
there,
products. Yeah, absolutely.
Laundry stuff.
Yeah. It's you're gonna find it's a couple bucks cheaper than certainly the Kroger or some of the big national chains. So yeah, I do that too because really the toilet paper you buy at Kroger is really no different than the toilet paper you buy at the dollar store.
Toilet paper is toilet paper.
That's right. Yeah. So I don't know.
There's a few that are not good.
One last thing I want to bring up here before we go to the break is yesterday a person from the GOP filed a complaint. You're not being fair to a Democrat. This is two people in the House. Republican Buddy Carter of Georgia filed a formal complaint to the House Communications Standards Commission against Representative Zoe Lofgren of California, who in March issued a report compiling disturbing election-related social media posts of scores of Republicans. Now, what it was all of these Republican House members were basically repeating the big lie that Trump didn't lose the election, that the election was stolen from them, supporting people that were out committing the insurrection on January 6th, and basically, Representative Lofgren was just bringing out that a lot of her Republican colleagues supported this insurrection via social media tweets. Well, the complaint that was signed by Carter argues that by showing what members of Congress posted on social media, Lofgren violated the rules of decorum and disparaged them in violation of House communication rules. But if evidence seems like it's a disparagement, it's because the posts are appalling. They showed the members incessantly telling their followers that they had been robbed, that the election was stolen from them, and often saying that they should respond with action. So all she did was call out Republican members of Congress who have been at best disingenuous about their support of the insurrection and of Trump's big lie. I think you got to be able to call it out when you're in Congress.
I agree with you.
So there. All right. You have just wasted an entirely good hour with me here on the Variety Show. But don't worry, because we got one more hour of rain outside, one more hour of cozy stuff inside. I'll be back along with Lola Miller for part 2 of the Variety Show. And we will have our guest, John Hoffenberger, here. So do stick around. We'll see you after the break.